What's going on, everybody? It's your boy JP, back with another video. Today, well, I got quite a few videos coming up actually, but um, right now we got the Redmi Note 7. Now, I was actually sent this for review, but just know that my review will not be biased. Well, my quick overview, I should say. I never really do actual reviews. And, in the contracts that I accept to do this, they know that as well. But just know that it's not biased. Um, they were actually supposed to send me the Redmi Note 7 Pro, but it wasn't ready yet. The global version, which is, the ones they send out, luckily. Um, they didn't get with me until the day before I received this. Um, but they let me know yesterday that I was actually receiving the regular Redmi Note 7 and not the Note 7 Pro. But I will still probably get the Redmi Note 7 Pro in the next couple of weeks as well for for one of my overviews, hopefully. Um, doesn't matter. I mean, um, both phenomenal devices. Um, I mean, really, the major differences between the Redmi Note 7 and the Note 7 Pro is that the regular Note 7 here has the Snapdragon 660 versus the Snapdragon 675, which is practically brand new. And I will like to try that processor. I've heard nothing but good things. But for clarification, this is the Snapdragon 660 that's clocked at 2.2 gigs, not the one that was released later that was underclocked at, I think, 1.8 gigs, maybe 2 gigs. I know that it was re-released with a lower clock speed, but they had introduced, Qualcomm had introduced their AIE technology with the re-release. And of course, AIE is their artificial intelligence engine, which is what AIE stands for. And of course, at that time, it wasn't actually using neural processors. It was using other parts of the SoC to simulate or emulate, if you will, artificial intelligence without the need of a neural engine. Since then, that same technology was added to the 2.2 gig variant of the Snapdragon 660, which is luckily found here in the Note 7, which is great because this device just came out, but it's a good thing that it has the slightly older Snapdragon 660. The other major difference is the Redmi Note 7 was a heavily advertised for having a 48 megapixel dual rear camera. Well, I mean, just, one of the lenses is 48 megapixels anyway. And I'm trying to zoom in on the back here. As you can see where it says 48 megapixel AI dual camera. And the Redmi Note 7 actually, to my knowledge, I'm not, camera sensors are kind of, they're kind of my weakness when it comes to phone technology. But to my understanding, this uses a Samsung sensor, which actually interpolates, or have you say it interpoles 48 megapixels. The Redmi Note 7 Pro that has the Snapdragon 675 has the Sony IMX sensor. I can't remember the exact name, or the exact number, the exact model number, I should say, but it's a Sony IMX that actually is really 48 megapixels. So if you want to know the difference between the Note 7 and the Note 7 Pro, that's it right there. I just laid it out. Same size screen, same screen technology, 4.3-inch IPS. They are of the sharp LTPS variant or variety, which is a lot better than LG's old IPS technology. Gorgeous designs for the price. I mean, you can't beat that at all. I mean, look at that. That's a blue. They have a specific name. It's not just blue. It's kind of purplish. It shimmers like a Huawei freaking high-end device. It is gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. You saw the fingerprint sensor was mounted in the rear, um, and I mean the screen is beautiful. Flossie Carter just did a review on this. Um, this is the model with 3 gigs of RAM and 32 gigs internal. I actually see them on Amazon shipped from the US with Prime 2-day shipping, 1 day available for like $3.99 or $4.99 for less than $200. Can't beat that. Again, can't beat that. There's, I mean, there's just nothing else to say. Um, Unless you just have to have the bigger battery and the clean version of Android, which I definitely understand if you do. If you need either of those, I understand. Um, the Moto G7 Power, would be the what would be to me the only other option, if not this. Um, as it's 250 unlocked. But I mean, again, that's $50 more than this, and this has a better chipset. Snapdragon 660 versus the Snapdragon 632. 632 is a beast, though, so don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking it at all. I mean, it's been benchmarked in most cases to be better than the Snapdragon 636. So, yeah, the Moto G7s are no slouches at all. And the reason why I don't compare this to the G7 Play, which has the same processor as the G7 Power and the other G7, the regular G7 for that matter, because that is priced at only $200 unlocked. I don't compare it to that because that one also has a much smaller screen. It's a 5.8, 5.9 inch versus the 6.2 inch of the Power. And of course, this is 6.3 inches. This is full HD. The G7 Power and the Play are only 720, but they are the 19:9 aspect ratios. They have the eyebrow notch. Of course, they don't take advantage of that space, though, as I've said in many of my videos. The facial recognition on those are the 2D variety, not the true 3D facial scan technology with the iris sensors and such. So like the regular G7 and G7 Plus, they could have went with the teardrop notch, which is what this phone went with. And it is very small on this phone. It's almost as small as the Huawei P30. I have that too, by the way. I'll be doing a video on that too. Be on the lookout. Yes, P30. Not the Pro, but it's not the Lite either. But you notice how on the box here, Xiaomi kind of left their logo at the very top there, kind of out of the way in the upper right-hand corner. Because what they've done is they've actually spun Redmi off as its own brand. So Redmi is no longer just known as the budget version of Xiaomi. Of course, Xiaomi devices are already very competitively priced. Even their flagships. But much like how they did with Pogo Phone, Redmi is now its own brand. Redmi is supposed to be coming out with its own flagship, its own Snapdragon 855 powered phone. If rumors are true. So Redmi is no longer just a budget, Xiaomi. Now, whether or not their flagship is going to be priced lower or higher than the next, than the Pogo F2 when that comes out, which will probably have the same Snapdragon 855, that remains to be seen. I would really like to see one of them have at least an AMOLED screen, but it may just be wishful thinking. But this device is priced right. I mean, it is priced right. This is the global version. And it does have the Play Store, as you can see. And there's just some of your apps there. And actually doesn't have as many apps as I thought. I have the Xiaomi Mi 9 and I already have a video up of that. It's been up for about a month now. And that had a lot more apps in it. Now, one thing that does disappoint me with Xiaomi devices, it's not their heavy layer, MIUI, And of course, this has MIUI 10, which the Mi 9 does as well. MIUI, MIUI 10, I'm sorry, MIUI 10, I'm okay with. I don't have a big problem with it. The problem I have with it actually lays in the advertisements. Xiaomi has now kind of moved over to um, their devices having ads. They're ad supported. Kind of like what Amazon does with their Fire tablets, and how they're able to offer them for so cheap is because they have ads, and if you don't want the ads, if you don't want the ads, you actually have to opt for a more expensive model, which they don't really advertise until you're actually on the page to purchase it. Now Xiaomi doesn't do that. They don't offer a version of their phones that aren't ad supported. Um, and and it's not to say that the devices aren't priced right, because they are. Again, ads or no ads, this product can't be beat. And really, if we're talking about the $250 price point of the Moto G7 Power, again, that's beat by by the other Redmi Note 7, the Redmi Note 7 Pro, because when that becomes available on Amazon, it's probably going to be priced around 250. And this at 250 is a great price. It's still better than the Moto G7 Power at 250, unless you again have to have that bigger battery. Um, or the more the wider variety of LTE bands that the G7 Power actually has as well over the Redmi's. But with a Snapdragon 660, this is worth 250. It's worth 300. And I mean, it's 200, and that's no contract deal, that's no financing, that's not going through a carrier. I mean, that's the everyday price that you can get it for on Amazon. That's a 3 gig. They do have a 4 gig model available with 64 gigs of storage, and they also have another 4 gig variant with 128 gigs of storage. And the prices do go up, of course. It goes from 2 to 230 to 250, I think, or something like that. There's supposed to be a version with 6 gigs of RAM, but I haven't seen it available in America off of Amazon yet. So I don't know if a global version of that is available. It may be, and it may just not be on Amazon yet, because these are actually, they're sold on Amazon, but they're not officially, supported in the U.S. Like this, that they're not, they're not supposed to be sold in the U.S. But it does work on LTE with AT&T and T-Mobile. It does have limited bands. Again, it's not going to have as many bands as that Moto G7 Power I keep talking about. And it's actually kind of weird that the G7 Power has more bands than the regular G7, the more expensive one, and the G7 Plus as well. It doesn't have the bands that the Play and the Power have. Just a little side note. I know this isn't a video about those, but read your specs. You'll see what I'm talking about, especially you T-Mobile users that are really big on having band 71. But of course, you're not going to get that here or with the Note 7 Pro, unfortunately. Maybe one day, maybe the Note 8s or the Note 9s, etc., etc. Xiaomi is supposed to be making a push eventually for the U.S. market, so I'm sure they'll want to have their ducks in an order, and in the order, if you will. But yeah, I mean, even for 300, I mean, this device is just easily worth it. And I mean, the Note 7 Pro with the Snapdragon 675 is supposed to only go for 250. I mean, I'm just predicting that when it ends up on Amazon. And I mean, even that, I mean, 400 for a Snapdragon 675. I mean, man, you're not gonna. It won't be beaten. That's just too good of a deal. It's just, this thing flies. At that price, I don't care about the ads. Now the Mi 9, the Mi 9, I paid $580 for mine. Of course, you could probably get it for about $550 now. I'm sure by next month you'll be able to get it for $500. And for a Snapdragon 855, ads or no ads, plenty of people are gonna find that worth it still. But when I start paying into the 5 and 600s, flagship chipset or not, the ads do tend to bother me a little bit more. And I do understand that they got to make money. Xiaomi their CEO has actually gone on record many times to state that, they still price their devices to make profit, but it's not anywhere near the profit that your other companies make. And they do that on purpose. There's a reason for that. They're still making money and they're happy and they make everyone else happy for the most part. So believe me, I'm not mad. Keep doing what you're doing, Xiaomi. I mean, you've always had my attention. But you notice on the back of this phone here too, it even has the Redmi branding. It's new. Instead of just saying Xiaomi Redmi, it says Redmi by Xiaomi now. So it's kind of a nice touch. Device is all glasses, Gorilla Glass 5 front and back. It does have USB Type-C. I don't think that's dual stereo speakers. I don't think it is. It'd be great if it is though. Again, the 48 megapixel Samsung interpolated rear sensors. But from all the samples I've seen, the camera still rocks on this thing, and the Pro just does it even better than this already does. There's your Quick Charge 3.0 wall adapter, USB Type-C cable. You do get a clear gel silicone TPU case, and these are my favorite because they show off the design of the phone. I like those. I like those basic cases like that. I really do, because that's all I want. If I was to buy a case, it would be a clear TPU. I love to show off the aesthetics of and the design, the color of the phone. This does have facial recognition. Of course, the 2D variety, of course. These are weird, though, because if you set your region to the United States, you won't have it. You have to set the region to India, but you can still select United States as your language. The language option actually comes up before the region option when you're setting the device up. So set United States for your language if that's your main language. Not to assume just because we're in the U.S. But on the next screen, when it asks for the region, select India. I heard that Indonesia, according to Flossie Carter's video anyway of the same phone, also has a, also has the facial recognition option visible. Man, this is a nice device. At 200, the ads don't freaking bother me at all. Again, the Mi 9, close to 600, that's a different story, But, I mean, even then, for what you're getting on that, yeah, I'm sure most people will look past that. Especially considering that you could probably get that for a lot less than what I had paid for it. $580, and that was a month and a half ago. But this, man, I've seen it for $198 on Amazon. U.S. shipping, 2-day Prime. You could pay $3 or $4 more and get it next day. I mean, and here in Louisiana, Amazon does charge tax, but I didn't get charged tax on this. And I mean, this thing is great. I mean, there's really not a whole lot to say. Of course, if you want something more in depth, if someone else that has it here in the U.S., check out. I definitely recommend Flossie Carter's video on it. He was stoked about it. He did say it was the best budget phone, that he's had so far. And that's because the only thing budget is the price. The specs are better than mid-range. Because the Moto G7s, to me, aren't considered budget. I don't see anything budget about a Snapdragon 632. Snapdragon 630, 625, yeah, that's a different story. But, I mean, Redmi or Xiaomi, whatever you want to call this company, they knocked out of the ballpark with this phone. It is gorgeous. I mean, this phone, look at it. Excuse the fingerprint smudges. I mean, granted, this is the model with only 3 gigs of RAM, but you wouldn't have known that if I wouldn't have told you. I mean, 4 gigs with 64 gigs of storage, if I was paying for this, would be the one I would get. 32 gigs internal is not enough for me, but I don't have to have 128 gigs. 64 would be perfect because this does have expandable memory. 4 gigs of RAM would be the sweet spot. I wouldn't mind having that 6 gig model, but the 64, the model with 64 gigs internal storage and 4 gigs of RAM is $230 on Amazon in this same blue color. Boss. Boss. Of course, I'm not complaining here. It was sent to me for, it was sent to me, as a sponsorship. I'll take the 3 gigs of RAM and 32 gigs internal storage. I'm fine. Because it's still worth it at 200. Guys, do not sleep on this. Sorry for all the shaking, y'all. I can't keep my hand steady for some reason here. I do apologize. I can see it in the viewfinder. But this does have the latest version of Android Pie, with MIUI 10. But y'all check this out. Don't sleep on it. This device is freaking amazing. Peace.